In a grimy alleyway, a man spits on the ground, prompting his friend to complain loudly about the spray hitting his foot. They decide to head out to find a way to make some money, with one mockingly laughing at the other's misfortune as a hooded figure walks past.
Walking through the neighborhood, the man notes that the studio district is perpetually loud and filthy.
He arrives at the door of his cramped rooftop apartment.
Bong Joo-hyuk, an unemployed 25-year-old juggling multiple part-time jobs, sighs as he prepares to eat ramen for dinner yet again.
As he stares at his meal, he reflects on the crushing debt that forces him to live such a miserable existence. He eats his noodles while acknowledging his lack of special skills and his bleak, hopeless future.
A sudden chime sounds as a glowing system window announces that Bong Joo-hyuk has awakened.
Startled by the sudden notification, Joo-hyuk spits out his food and curses in pain and shock. He stares wide-eyed, struggling to believe that he has actually undergone an awakening.
He considers how most people view this as a jackpot that can completely turn a life around. However, he remains grounded in the reality that entering the tower is an incredibly dangerous endeavor.
He envisions the various ways a person could die, from being mauled by monsters to succumbing to extreme temperatures or poison. In a mental projection, he imagines himself as an instructor lecturing on the many ways to die a miserable death within the tower.
Reflecting on his cautious nature, he notes that he has spent 25 years avoiding any form of danger or injustice.
Putting his chopsticks down, he wonders if he simply dozed off from exhaustion and imagined the whole thing.
Taking a chance, he stands in his room and shouts for his status window to appear. A blue screen manifests, confirming his identity and revealing his unique trait as a summoner.
Touching the translucent screen, he realizes the awakening is real and ponders the nature of his summoning ability. He recalls that awakened individuals receive various traits ranging from martial arts to magical abilities.
He thinks about the standard types of summons, such as spirits, golems, and demonic beasts.
His heart pounds with excitement as he wonders what kind of summoner he will become and hopes for a flashy debut.
Striking a dramatic pose, he commands the system to activate his summoning skill.
The skill fails to activate, and he awkwardly remembers that abilities do not work outside the tower. A visualization of the massive tower reminds him that a player's skills are strictly prohibited in the outside world. He looks at his door, feeling like an utter fool for forgetting such common knowledge. A sudden, sharp chime echoes through the room, catching him off guard.
His eyes begin to glow with a sharp purple intensity.
A swirling portal of purple energy suddenly erupts in the middle of his small apartment. A man with reddish-brown hair dressed in dark fantasy armor emerges from the light. Joo-hyuk screams in terror and confusion, unable to understand why his skill is working outside the tower.
The red-haired man offers a crisp salute, confirming that he is indeed a human. Joo-hyuk stares in total disbelief at the absurdity of the situation.
He is baffled that a successful summon occurred outside the tower, especially one that takes a human form. The summoned man catches a scent in the air and begins to sniff around curiously. Spotting the bowl on the table, the man excitedly asks if he can have a bite of the ramen. Joo-hyuk watches in disappointment as the legendary warrior he hoped for turns out to be a hungry moocher.
The man begins to slurping the noodles with intense gusto. The summon reacts to the heat, finding the mild udon to be incredibly spicy, which leads to Huck to label him a total wimp.
Joo-hyuk remains deeply confused about how this impossible summoning occurred.
A new system window explains that he can summon humans and demi-humans across various rarity grades.
The system notifies him that his summon is bound by the 3 mandates. The mandates dictate that the summon must protect the summoner's life and obey all commands absolutely.
As the man drinks the leftover soup, Joo-hyuk wonders about the true identity of his new companion.
A catalog entry reveals the summon is John Cossack, a super rare grade assassin known for his insanity.
Additional data describes John Cossack as a lunatic with a near-perfect mission success rate who once took down a dark mage.
Joo-hyuk winces and clutches his head as a massive influx of information floods his brain.
Purple electricity crackles around him as he lets out a pained cry.
He is suddenly pulled into a swirling vortex, falling through a tunnel of light.
He plummets from the sky toward a massive stone arena where a dark cloud figure waits below.
John Cossack leaps into the air and catches Joo-hyuk, shielding him as they descend. They land in the center of the arena, where they are immediately surrounded by a host of armed soldiers.
A title card introduces a glimpse into Cossack's bloody past.
Joo-hyuk watches in horror as Cossack ties red ribbons around severed heads.
The red-haired assassin wears a chilling, satisfied smile.
A mansion stands quiet under a full moon.
Cossack prepares to strike his target in their sleep.
The target reveals himself as a legendary swordmaster.
Cossack startles Joo-hyuk by asking what he's thinking.
Joo-hyuk falls backward while Cossack asks for his owners. Joo-hyuk recalls the system's promise of absolute obedience.
Joo-hyuk orders Cossack to clean the ramen and the table. Joo-hyuk is amazed by Cossack's efficiency and compliance. He realizes the summon is following every single word.
Joo-hyuk wonders if the summon accepts absurd requests.
Cossack gleefully pledges to obey his summoner unconditionally.
The summon is compared to a loyal talk.
Ju-hyuk worries he might have offended the legendary warrior.
He envisions the warrior barking with a loud woof while spinning around. Ju-hyuk gives a satisfied thumbs up to Penandit.
A sudden, heavy banging sounds at the front door. Ju-hyuk panics, realizing his loan interest is due today. He reflects on the debt he took for family emergencies.
Ju-hyuk admits his choice was foolish but necessary.
The loan shark demands entry to check on Ju-hyuk.
Cossack draws his blades and offers to kill the infreighter.
Ju-hyuk frantically shoves Cossack into the bathroom to hide.
A scarred loan shark boss grabs Ju-hyuk by the neck.
The boss menacingly suggests selling an organ for cash.
The criminals threaten to come for Ju-hyuk's younger brother.
The boss mocks Ju-hyuk for his visible look of resentment.
Ju-hyuk forces a fake smile and laugh to survive.
The debt collectors leave with a final, lethal warning. Cossack emerges, having followed the order to stay hidden.
Ju-hyuk feels defeated by his debt and his cowardice.
Ju-hyuk considers dismissing the summon to find peace.
Cossack asked permission to watch television drama episodes.
A tragic scene plays out on the television screen.
Ju-hyuk reflects on the comfort of not being alone.
He finds the presence of another being strangely soothing.
Ju-hyuk drifts into sleep while Cossack watches TV.
The moonlight and television glow illuminate Cossack's face.
Ju-hyuk wakes up to the morning news broadcast. A blue window confirms John Cossack has been released.
Ju-hyuk prepares for his shift while yawning tiredly.
The news reports a murder at the loan shark's office.
Ju-hyuk freezes as he recognizes the company's name.
The toothbrush falls with a sharp clatter as beheadings are mentioned.
The victims' heads were found wrapped in red ribbons.
Ju-hyuk realizes the horrifying truth of Cossack's nightly activity.
He screams in terror at his own summoning choice.
The bloody aftermath inside the loan shark's office is shown.
A blood-stained severed hand rests near 3 heads adorned with festive red ribbons.
Bong Ju-hyuk trembles in a cold sweat, paralyzed by the overwhelming dread of his situation.
While working his convenience store shift, Ju-hyuk is startled by a customer's sudden greeting.
He hallucinates a headless torso and a red shirt presenting a severed head for purchase. The gruesome figure stands before a shelf of decapitated heads demanding to be rung up.
A loud, panicked cry of "Ooh-ah" escapes Ju-hyuk as he recoils in absolute horror.
A young woman in a red jacket gazes at him with concern, snapping him back to reality. Stepping outside the shop, Ju-hyuk frantically apologizes for his erratic behavior and promises to help her. He walks through the city, deciding he needs to step away from his part-time jobs tomorrow.
A heavy sigh escapes him as he struggles with the weight of his recent experiences.
He feels like a lonely shadow passing through a world filled with happy couples.
Soft snow falls over the quiet rooftops of the city under a bright full moon.
Looking at the system catalog, Ju-hyuk notes that John Cossack truly is a dangerous lunatic.
He sits alone in his kitchen, reflecting on the terrifying reality of his new summon.
Ju-hyuk stretches his hand forward and officially calls for the designated summon, John Cossack.
His eyes widen as a sharp electronic chime signals the activation of the skill. He initially vents his anger at the system, intending to give the assassin a 1-star rating. Guilt washes over him as he hesitates to follow through with the harsh punishment.
Remembering his mother's struggles with customer service ratings, he chooses to be more lenient.
John Cossack manifests in a burst of energy, offering a cheerful salute to his master.
The red-haired assassin beams with joy, thanking Ju-hyuk for the generous 3-star rating.
Ju-hyuk confronts him, asking directly if he was the one who murdered the loan sharks. Cossack casually admits to the killings, explaining he finished them off just before being unsummoned.
Horror grips Ju-hyuk as he realizes he is standing in the presence of a serial killer.
He tries to steady his breathing, reminding himself that the summon is magically bound to protect him. Cossack explains that he tracked the men to their office using a special pursuit mark.
Ju-hyuk wonders if the ability to track targets is an innate skill of the assassin.
Cossack defends his actions as a necessary preemptive strike, though Ju-hyuk argues he never ordered it.
Ju-hyuk realizes that the summon's logic is driven by the strict mandates of the system.
The 3 laws are displayed, prioritizing the summoner's life and safety above all other commands. When asked if he would obey an order to kill Ju-hyuk, Cossack gives a firm rejection. Ju-hyuk criticizes the assassin's arbitrary judgment, but Cossack explains that the laws allow broad interpretation.
Cossack views any potential threat as a risk factor that must be eliminated, prompting Ju-hyuk to call him a psycho.
Ju-hyuk apologizes for the insult, but the assassin reveals he is quite accustomed to being called names.
Ju-hyuk imagines a scenario where a simple bump on a crowded street turns into a confrontation.
In his vision, the threat results in another decapitation, according to Cossack's violent logic.
He bites his nail in anxiety, muttering about the complications of his new life. Cossack suddenly drops to his knees, offering a sincere apology for causing his master distress.
Ju-hyuk demands a promise that no more killing will occur unless there is an immediate physical threat.
With an energetic shout and a sharp salute, Cossack pledges to improve his judgment. Feeling emotionally drained, Ju-hyuk orders the assassin to return to the summon space for now. Before disappearing, Cossack stops to ask Ju-hyuk a final, curious question.
Ju-hyuk pauses, waiting to hear what the legendary warrior wants to know.
He reflects on the immense potential of the tower, clenching his fist in a rare moment of resolve.
Despite the opportunity, he admits that the deadly monsters and the tower itself terrify him.
Ju-hyuk asks if Cossack has ever served a summoner with a similar personality before. A knowing, subtle smile plays on Cossack's face as he considers the question.
Ju-hyuk admits he feels ashamed for lacking the courage that other awakened individuals possess.
To his surprise, Cossack laughs and declares that Ju-hyuk is actually the best summoner he could hope for. Cossack enthusiastically grabs his master, shouting that safety first is the most important virtue of all.
The red-haired assassin explains that a brave summoner is a liability because their death would permanently trap their summons, leading Bong Ju-hyuk to realize the true nature of their shared fate.
John Cossack warmly advises his master to prioritize safety and focus on living a long, peaceful life.
A sudden, sharp chirp sounds as Ju-hyuk wakes from a restless night spent worrying about the dangers of the tower. He decides to stay away from the tower and live gratefully now that his debt collectors have vanished.
Ju-hyuk steps out onto the rooftop under a bright sun, resolving to seek out ordinary and safe work.
His thoughts are interrupted by a quick, buzzing vroom as his phone vibrates in his pocket. He answers a call and discusses rehabilitation progress and the possibility of moving to a larger hospital. Ju-hyuk is visibly shaken when he learns his mother is losing her job, though the caller tells him not to worry. He promises to visit and share a meal soon while being reminded to avoid overworking himself. He stands alone in contemplation on the rooftop after the call ends. Clad in a full set of safety gear, including a yellow helmet and vest, Ju-hyuk prepares for his role as a summoner while holding a bat and a floor sign. He rationalizes that he can exit the tower immediately if things get dangerous and notes he is free from other jobs today. Ju-hyuk hesitates, wondering if he can summon someone more stable than the chaotic assassin. He imagines a demonic legendary warrior appearing and hopes for a high-rank summon to manifest. A chime sounds as system windows notify him that random summoning is currently on a month-long cooldown. John Cossack manifests in a burst of light, enthusiastically thanking Ju-hyuk for his 5-star rating and asking for immediate orders. Nervous and sweating, Ju-hyuk offers a sheepish welcome while secretly hoping the assassin didn't sense his attempt to replace him. When Ju-hyuk announces his plan to briefly enter the tower, Cossack fluctuates between praising his master's bravery and frantically warning against it before settling on his wisdom. Cossack pledges to serve as his master's loyal tool and hunting dog for the upcoming expedition. The assassin promises to handle all the driving safely and tells his master not to lift a single finger once inside. System notifications appear, asking if he wishes to enter the first floor of the Korea Black Tower. With a cheerful shout of agreement, Cossack taps the interface to confirm their entry.
A bright digital energy surge marks their departure into the tower.
Ju-hyuk lets out a panicked cry of "Wah!" as he is pulled into the transition portal by the assassin. A title card announces the 3rd chapter of the low-tier man's tower conquest. Abstract lines emphasize the intense speed of their movement through the digital tunnel. Ju-hyuk whimperingly falls through a swirling tunnel of light and data. He lets out a pained scream of "Quack!" as they reach the first floor's landing point. A bright, blinding flash of light fills the scene. They land within a glowing, protective bubble in the middle of a desolate wasteland. Ju-hyuk gazes at the vast, empty landscape of the first floor with a look of growing unease. He suddenly turns pale as a wave of intense nausea hits him. A loud, wet blear sounds as Ju-hyuk vomits, and Cossack comfortingly pats his back while telling him he will soon adjust. Cossack excitedly leads the way out of the safe zone and asks Ju-hyuk to follow him into the wasteland. Blue windows announce that Ju-hyuk's physical abilities have improved and his combat skills are now available. Ju-hyuk is amazed by the surge of strength he feels even at his low level as he tests his grip.
A system window details a mission to defeat 5 tough-skinned fatty grubs, which Cossack quickly spots in the distance.
Online data explains that the grubs are harmless but have skins so tough they are difficult to kill. Ju-hyuk gulps nervously, remembering that other players took half an hour just to kill one creature. He decides to attempt one kill himself, but Cossack questions the need for his master to suffer unnecessarily. Ju-hyuk stands determinedly before a large, slow-moving grub in the dusty landscape. He turns back to borrow a weapon from Cossack, unaware that the creature is rising up behind him. The massive grub towers over the unsuspecting summoner, looming like a giant shadow. Ju-hyuk looks back and freezes in wide-eyed horror as the monster looms over him. He stands paralyzed with sweat and fear as the grub prepares to strike. Cossack gives a cheerful thumbs up, declaring it a wise decision to let him take over the fight. The assassin lunges toward the giant monster with blinding speed. Cossack punches through the creature, causing it to explode in a fountain of green slime while Ju-hyuk watches in shock. Cossack instructs his master to stand back while he effortlessly tears through a swarm of grubs. Grinning with joy, the red-haired assassin dances through the monsters with energy-infused claws. Blue energy beams slice the buckus. John Cossack walks calmly away as grubs fall. Ju-hyuk watches as Cossack explodes the monsters. The black-haired man gasps in awe. System windows announce a successful mission clear and a high clear rank for the first floor.
Ju-hyuk floats happily with a Wyclin.
A suited woman at an office notices a blue notification window.
Notifications reach players in gyms and clubs, interrupting their routines. Glowing blue notification windows appear for every Korean player in the city. The pair teleports back into the kitchen as a system window explains that clears result in immediate returns.
Nauseous and shaking, Ju-hyuk notes that the entire tower clear only took 5 minutes.
Cossack offers a tearful salute and tells Summoner Bong he did a good job.
Ju-hyuk admits he just stood still while others struggle for half an hour, marveling at how simple the clear was. He examines his newly earned magic stone and silver bat.
Ju-hyuk marvels at the glowing magic stone, noting it is his first time seeing the real thing.
Narrative text explains that magic stones are vital industrial resources worth 50,000 won per 100 grams. Media displays on various screens show that knowledge about the 20-year-old towers is common sense for ordinary people.
He wonders about the rare platinum badge.
Ju-hyuk celebrates his quick earnings while Cossack excitedly announces he is going to watch a drama. Steaming hot food containers rest on the table as Ju-hyuk takes in the scent.
They discuss the spice level of dinner, with Ju-hyuk explaining he ordered regular pig's trotters to avoid making Cossack uncomfortable.
Cossack gratefully devours a piece of meat with his chopsticks, thanking his master for his grace.
Ju-hyuk asks if Cossack's formal speech endings are natural, and the assassin explains he picked them up from a previous summoner.
Ju-hyuk compares the linguistic habits to an ex-partner's influence, calling it ex-summoner's influence. They share a hearty laugh over dinner as Cossack offers to fix his speech, and Ju-hyuk tells him it is fun to hear.
Cossack enjoys his meal while reflecting on the lack of danger, contrasted by the safety gear Ju-hyuk keeps many.
The man realizes the tower is manageable.
Sunlight hits the quiet rooftop apartment.
Ju-hyuk posts a new daily schedule chart. The schedule prioritizes sleeping and various part-time jobs during the day, followed by evening tower clearing with Cossack.
Cossack dances with joy after Ju-hyuk tells him he would give the assassin a 10-point rating if possible.
Cossack explains that better ratings lead to more benefits, such as longer manifestation times and better ranks.
They materialize on the second floor as a system notification confirms their entry. A new mission to defeat 10 quick-witted fatty grubs appears, and Ju-hyuk is surprised by their high speed.
Ju-hyuk asks what he should do on the second floor, but Cossack tells him there will not even be time for a plan.
Cossack promises another very fast victory.
The red-haired warrior launches his attack.
Ju-hyuk shouts out a dinner corpuscle.
Cossack enthusiastically accepts the food invitation.
Monsters explode under the warrior's swift assault.
Ju-hyuk is stunned by the efficiency as system windows announce another success and level up. He realizes the clears are so fast he can finish missions before his morning part-time job. They enter the third floor mission together as Cossack notes his master's landing has improved. Another floor is cleared with higher rewards.
Massive energy marks a perfect clear rank.
Success and rewards continue on the fourth floor as a chibi Cossack stands amidst the destruction.
They celebrate with a high five after successfully clearing the fifth floor mission.
The system grants a special milestone reward for accumulating 5 platinum badges. Ju-hyuk is shocked to see his status screen now allows for 2 simultaneous summons. Ju-hyuk ponders the potential of keeping one more person with him while Cossack continues to steamroll every challenge. Narrative text notes that the S-rank rewards are incredibly good as several platinum badges float in the air. Ju-hyuk imagines himself crossing a finish line, reflecting on his safety and the long-term battle ahead.
While standing in his room, Ju-hyuk notes that the cooldown for his random summoning ability has more than 20 days remaining. He looks forward to clearing more floors with his 2 powerful summons, resolving to keep pushing upward through the tower.
The scene shifts to the Seoul Awakener Management Administration building standing under a bright, clear sky. 3 high-ranking officials gather for a meeting around a coffee table in a modern, quiet office. Team leader Jian Gwang-il wonders aloud when today's global announcement will finally ring throughout the city.
Deputy Director Lee Min-ah leans in and asks if he is currently preoccupied with the upcoming announcement. Gwang-il is startled as Minna admits she cannot stop reading people's thoughts whenever she gets curious.
The 2 officials discuss the latest report of another S-rank clear on the 6th floor of the Black Tower. Narration explains that global announcements for S-rank clears have been ringing repeatedly lately.
Gwang-il suspects that a single talented individual is clearing the tower floors sequentially and in order.
A sudden, loud thump sounds as a hand slams against the table in frustration.
Director Park Kyung-soo explains that Korea's previous record was only rank A, making these new S-clears unprecedented. He warns that foreign nations are conducting secret abductions to snatch away high-tier players behind the scenes.
Director Park declares with firm resolve that they must locate this mysterious player immediately.
2 days pass over the quiet city rooftops. Cossack happily washes dishes while celebrating their trouble-free progress of clearing 1 tower floor every single day. Ju-hyuk reviews his schedule chart, noting that the beginner zone floors are going smoothly so far. The summoner and his assassin companion enter a foggy forest on a new tower floor.
A mission to defeat 10 red thorn frog warriors appears as monsters fly through the air.
A giant green frog warrior lashes out with its long purple tongue.
Cossack dances through the air with his blades, effortlessly slicing through the swarm of monsters.
Blue windows confirm a successful 8th floor mission clear with magic stones and a platinum badge reward.
Back in the kitchen, Ju-hyuk admits he feels useless while Cossack performs all the work every day. Ju-hyuk warns that higher floors will be difficult and wonders if he should give his loyal companion a brevet.
Ju-hyuk pulls a 50,000 won bill from his wallet and encourages Cossack to go out and have fun.
Cossack refuses the money and insists on staying by his master's side to watch television at home. Ju-hyuk suggests ordering chicken instead, and the assassin excitedly puts on a large chicken head mask. Ju-hyuk orders a honey cheese butter chicken dinner while checking the rewards piled on the table. A glowing red healing potion reward sits on the table.
Ju-hyuk calculates the value of his magic stone collection, noting he has already earned 1.8 million won.
Ju-hyuk stretches in his room, considering quitting his part-time job since the tower clears are so efficient.
A flashback shows the easy defeat of a giant corpse flower on the 9th floor for another top rank.
Ju-hyuk toasts to Cossack's squinty eyes, momentarily forgetting the assassin's dangerous history. System windows announce that Cossack's satisfaction reading has reached 5 points, extending his manifestation time by 1 hour.
Cossack makes a heart with his arms and pledges his total support to Ju-hyuk.
Notifications confirm their entry into the 10th floor as Ju-hyuk's physical abilities are enhanced.
Standing before a glowing hexagonal barrier, Ju-hyuk notes the distinct atmosphere of the 10th floor. Ju-hyuk feels a surge of strength and mana stirring within his body as his muscles bulge. The man imagines himself as a powerful, untamable wild horse.
Ju-hyuk taps Cossack's shoulder and announces his intention to help with the combat this time.
Cossack frantically protests the idea of his master getting hurt while Ju-hyuk insists he is a beast. Ju-hyuk's horse-formed thought bubble appears determined to finally engage in battle.
The horse-themed vision stares directly into a massive glowing green eye. A gigantic green praying mantis looms over the pair on the 10th floor. Horrified and sweating, Ju-hyuk wonders how ordinary players could ever defeat such a massive creature. Cossack laughs and admits his pride is hurt by having to send 2 people to kill a mere insect. The giant monster glares with its bulging compound eyes. The mantis monster lunges forward as Cossack prepares for combat. Cossack launches a precise strike against the massive green mantis. The red-haired assassin remains intensely focused on his target. Glowing blue lines trace his high-speed movements as he slices the monster into segments. A system notification confirms an S++ rank clear and the reward of a platinum badge while Cossack declares the mission complete. Ju-hyuk notes the addition of another kilogram of magic stones, bringing his total collection to 5.5 kilograms. He reflects on the unique perks he previously unlocked by accumulating 5 platinum badges. A new window announces that a special milestone reward is waiting for him once he gathers 10 platinum badges. The young man is visibly excited as he wonders what this new reward will be. The system reveals a new perk that allows him to copy one skill from a summoned entity and lists several powerful options, prompting a surprised reaction from Ju-hyuk. Cossack points upward while firmly advising his master to choose the Shadow Step skill without hesitation. The assassin explains that the skill is perfect for fleeing from danger, which causes Ju-hyuk to imagine himself running toward an exit sign. Ju-hyuk feels slightly insulted and asks if he truly looks like the type of person who would desert others just to save himself. Despite his reservations, the system confirms that Shadow Step has been acquired and registered in his status window. Cossack takes on a serious expression while lecturing Ju-hyuk on how essential fast footwork is to surviving any combat encounter. After a quick patter of feet sounds, Ju-hyuk attempts to utilize the new flash step footwork by sprinting across his rooftop. Breathing heavily and slouching in exhaustion, Ju-hyuk complains about the difficulty of maintaining consistency while Cossack offers a supportive comment. Ju-hyuk holds his phone with a nervous expression, hesitating for a moment. He introduces himself over the phone and reports that he has officially awakened as a player. A sudden, loud chime sounds from the phone as the administration staff schedules a home visit and Ju-hyuk provides his address. Sitting alone in his room, Ju-hyuk feels completely drained after making what he considers the bravest decision of his adult life. A black luxury sedan arrives in the city as a sharp click-clack of heels sounds on the pavement. Inside the car, Gwang-il asks about a potential candidate in Daegu, but Mina admits she does not think they are the legendary S++ record holder. After a quick tap sounds against the car window, Mina agrees to continue their search, noting that they must work as hard as possible. Gwang-il is determined to recruit this mysterious player into their elite team regardless of the cost to the administration. Ju-hyuk frantically cleans every corner of his apartment to prepare for his high-ranking guests. A series of sharp knocks sounds at the door, causing Ju-hyuk to swallow nervously as he realizes the officials have arrived. Ju-hyuk opens the door and welcomes the visitors while Gwang-il introduces himself as a team leader from the administration.
Gwang-il introduces his companion, Deputy Director Min-ah, while Ju-hyuk becomes even more anxious about the presence of a woman.
A soft swoosh sounds as Mina leans in incredibly close to Ji-hyuk's face, making him blush with embarrassment.
She whispers the rank of S++, leaving Ju-hyuk completely stunned. The scene shifts as the tension of the meeting hands him the air. Mina remains leaned in close as she repeats the high rank, while Gwang-il watches from the doorway. A loud cry sounds as Ju-hyuk recoils in shock, waving his hands frantically in the air. He wonders to himself if there is some secret method for identifying awakened individuals that he is unaware of.
Ju-hyuk decides to deny the accusation for now and resolves to act as natural as possible.
A mechanical creaking sounds as Ju-hyuk adopts a stiff, robotic posture and laughingly claims that he is not the person they are looking for.
Min-ae stares at him with a deadpan expression, easily identifying his awkward behavior as a classic sign of lying.
A sharp whoosh sounds as Gwang-il scolds Min-ah for prying into the player's personal business, and she apologizes. Gwang-il offers a formal apology for the deputy director's rudeness, while Ju-hyuk feels a wave of relief that she was only testing him. A cute mascot named Tabi, a black brick with wings and a wand, appears to explain the world's situation. Tabi describes the massive black tower that appeared globally 20 years ago, towering over every human building. A loud boom sounds as a helicopter is repelled by an invisible barrier, proving that physical approaches to the tower are impossible. The mascot explains that the tower functions like a game where players must climb upward one floor at a time. Narrative text details how ordinary people become players with powerful skills and use tower rewards to upgrade their gear. A sudden chime sounds as system windows explain the concept of a tower collapse if no new floors are cleared within 6 months. A massive crash sounds as Tabi explains how the city of Mumbai was destroyed 3 years ago after its tower collapsed. Tabi shows a map of Korea's single tower location and notes that Korea currently holds the world's second highest record at floor 65. The mascot illustrates players as modern heroes exploring the dangerous unknown of the Black Tower. With a celebratory puff of smoke, Tabi encourages everyone to register as official players and become heroes. Gwang-il closes his laptop and prepares to begin the formal interview, while Ju-hyuk silently critiques the government propaganda.
Ju-hyuk presents his magic crystals to confirm he has reached the 10th floor.
The officials are stunned that his progress matches the mysterious record holder. Min-ah studies Ju-hyuk closely, wondering if he could be their target. A nervous gulp sounds as Min-ah asks Ju-hyuk about the recent global notices. Ju-hyuk feigns ignorance while Gwang-il tells him he is far too tense. A frantic twitching sounds as Ju-hyuk tries to maintain his awkward cover story. Gwang-il presents a holographic display to explain the government's 2 recruitment tracks. The man details the differences between a freelancer lifestyle and elite government service.
Elite players enjoy massive benefits, including personal protection outside of the dangerous tower.
Ju-hyuk worries about the unwanted attention that would come with his true rank. He imagines the horror of reporters hounding him about his lack of friends. A sharp squelch sounds as Ju-hyuk cringes at the thought of the spotlight. Gwang-il mentions required body cameras for the elite team, which Ju-hyuk immediately interrupts. Ju-hyuk firmly declines the offer to join the elite climbing team. A soft squeak sounds as Ju-hyuk claims he has no talent for high-level combat. The young man insists he is satisfied with taking small, safe rewards. Ju-hyuk refuses to reconsider, leaving the officials in a heavy, awkward silence. Min-ah sighs in disappointment, believing they have encountered another dead end.
She reflects on how bluntly Ju-hyuk admitted to his own cowardice during their screening.
Min decides that his lack of ambition makes him unfit for their team. A formal rustle sounds as Gwang-il bows and agrees to respect Ju-hyuk's decision.
Gwang-il asks Ju-hyuk to enter the tower now to finalize his awakening status.
Ju-hyuk considers clearing a floor since he is using his daily entry anyway. He suspects they are still probing to see if he is the legendary player. Ju-hyuk warns them that his slow pace could take up to 2 hours.
A gentle chirp sounds as Mina encourages him to take his time.
Ju-hyuk stands ready to teleport from the middle of his Gikkenplar. He offers his guests drinks while they wait for his inevitable return.
A sudden, loud crackle sounds as Ju-hyuk vanishes into a pillar of blue light.
Gwang-il confirms the awakening and asks for the deputy director's final assessment. Min-ah predicts Ju-hyuk will fail the 11th floor due to his timid nature.
She explains that the next floor tests a player's fear against burrow centipedes.
A wet slithering sounds as she describes the disgusting task of killing 100 monsters.
Min-ah expects Ju-hyuk to abandon the mission and retreat to the safe zone.
A quick swipe sounds as Gwang-il prepares to report their failure to the director.
A sharp whistle sounds as Ju-hyuk summons Cossack into a foggy, dark forest.
A crisp snap sounds as the red-haired assassin salutes his master's arrival. System windows reveal a mission to slay centipedes, which Cossack plans to finish instantly. Ju-hyuk orders Cossack to hunt as slowly as possible to hide his skills. A confident click sounds as Cossack agrees to help his master deceive the officials.
A dark chuckle sounds as Ju-hyuk plots to break his high-ranking streak intentionally.
A sharp squelch sounds as Cossack easily cleaves a giant centipede in half.
A loud thud sounds as Ju-hyuk shouts for his companion to move even slower.
A repetitive rhythmic slice sounds as Cossack methodically whittles down the monster swarm.
A sudden violent burst sounds as a massive centipede erupts from the ground.
Ju-hyuk is frozen in terror as the multi-legged beast looms over him. The young man's body refuses to move despite his desperate need to escape.
A sharp gasp sounds as Cossack notices the imminent danger to his master.
A powerful whoosh sounds as the assassin dives headfirst into the monster horde.
A chaotic flurry sounds as Cossack's rage boils over against the disgusting insects. A chaotic flurry sounds as the multiple segments of the giant centipedes are sliced apart by bright blue energy.
Ju-hyuk recoils in shock, frantically yelling for the assassin to wait as the carnage unfolds. Ju-hyuk slumps to the ground among the monster remains, complaining that the assassin is moving much too fast for his plan.
Ju-hyuk shouts an order for the red-haired man to slow his tempo down as much as possible. The young man panics and warns his companion that trying that hard again will ruin their attempt to appear weak. A sudden, loud chime sounds as system windows announce an S++ clear rating for floor 11 and the award of a platinum badge, prompting Ju-hyuk to curse while Cossack apologizes for his over-efficiency.
A sudden, loud chime sounds in the apartment as Mina notes that 5 minutes have passed, while Gwang-il predicts the player will give up any moment now.
A glowing blue portal screen suddenly materializes, causing both officials to gasp in shock.
A sharp flash sounds as Ju-hyuk teleports back into his kitchen in a pillar of blue light, leaving the visitors stunned by his rapid return.
Min is incredulous as she reports that an S++ rating for the floor 11 clear appeared on the monitors.
Gwang-il observes that the high-rank notice appeared at the exact moment Ju-hyuk returned.
Ju-hyuk looks down with a grim expression, sighing that he did not want to resort to extreme measures.
Ju-hyuk's eyes glow a menacing red as a dark silhouette of the assassin looms behind him, and he coldly declares that the two officials must be silenced.
A soft whoosh sounds as Ju-hyuk commands Cossack to tie up the guests immediately.
The young man threatens to silence them both as the dark assassin prepares to strike, leaving Gwang-il and Min-yi frozen in fear. A bright flash erupts as the assassin carries out a swift, blinding attack against the two officials.
A sudden, loud screaming sound echoes as Ju-hyuk watches the scene with a horrified, wide-eyed expression. A sharp gasp sounds as Ju-hyuk screams at the assassin, demanding to know who told him to actually decapitate the visitors.
In a terrifying nightmare vision, the severed heads of the two officials talk to him while Ju-hyuk screams an apology in absolute despair. Ju-hyuk snaps back to reality, frantically apologizing to the confused officials while Mina calls out his name.
Gwang-il asks if Ju-hyuk is all right as the young man huddles on the floor, breaking out in a nervous cold sweat.
Ju-hyuk claims he is fine, while Gwang-il insists that their elite team absolutely needs a talented player like him.
Ju-hyuk laughs awkwardly and suggests that his run must have simply overlapped with another player's achievement by coincidence.
Gwang-il remains skeptical of the perfect timing, but Ju-hyuk desperately insists he is innocent and that it definitely was not him.
Gwang-il accepts the explanation for now and prepares a contract since the awakening has been confirmed.
Ju-hyuk is shocked to see an elite contract instead of the standard one he requested, but Gwang-il explains that this is a unique, higher-level offer.
A sudden, loud boom sounds as Gwang-il reveals the ultra-elite player contract for special management targets.
The official details the perks, including an annual salary of 12 billion won, provided real estate, and VVIP security treatment.
Narrative text reveals the contract offers immunity privileges, causing Ju-hyuk to wonder if he would essentially be above the law. Gwang-il explains that the benefits are equivalent to nobility and are currently only held by South Korea's #1 player.
Gwang-il encourages him to review the state-provided benefits, but Ju-hyuk suddenly shouts a firm refusal.
The young man declares with conviction that he will not become a player unless he is given a standard contract.
Ju-hyuk turns his back to the officials, explaining that he simply does not like being in the spotlight.
A series of memories showed Ju-hyuk feeling overwhelmed while shopping and eating out, emphasizing how burdensome social attention is to him.
Gwang-il identifies Ju-hyuk as extremely introverted, while the young man admits he lacks confidence and fears the uncertain future of higher floors.
Gwang-il eventually agrees to step back and proceed with a standard contract as requested.
The two men seal the deal with a handshake, though the narrative suggests any observer would find his rejection of the elite offer frustrating. Gwang-il warns that elite teams exist specifically for dangerous upper-floor raids that cannot be stopped once started.
Ju-hyuk thinks to himself that he wants no part of such burdens and is satisfied as long as his life becomes easier.
The scene shifts to the exterior of the Awakeners Management Bureau building in Seoul.
Inside a grand office, a bald commissioner scolds Gwang-il for reporting to Ju-hyuk as a timid player when his results say otherwise.
Gwang-il confirms the S++ rank clear, while the commissioner finds the player's disposition to be highly unusual.
Gwang-il reflects on Ju-hyuk's appearance, noting that he seemed surprisingly and painfully ordinary.
When asked if they misjudged him, Mina insists it is impossible because the timing of the clear notice was perfect.
The commissioner slams the desk and orders them to bring Ju-hyuk into the elite team regardless of his timid nature. Gwang-il looks determined as he promises the commissioner that they will recruit the player.
Ju-hyuk is shown yelling a refusal, though he secretly notes to himself that he is only acting like he is genuinely angry.
Back in his room, Ju-hyuk complains that acting angry is exhausting and threatens to unsummon Cossack if he exposes his skills again.
You are having a conversation with the user. The user will provide a text and ask you to read it back with a faster speed. Your only task is to read the text back to the user without any acknowledgement and nothing else. Just read the text.
You are having a conversation with the user. The user will provide a text and ask you to read it back with a faster speed. Your only task is to read the text back to the user without any acknowledgement and nothing else. Just read the text.
A system notification announces entry into the 12th floor of the Black Tower, where the mission is to defeat 20 ice icicle spear weasels within 3 hours.
Ji-hyuk tells the red-haired assassin to proceed as slowly and gently as possible while the servant salutes with a crisp chalk sounding.
Ji-hyuk plans to clear the floor with a normal rank to make the management agency lose interest as his companion begins to depart. The young man is suddenly overcome by the intense environment, shouting that he is freezing.
Ji-hyuk struggles to endure the unexpected cold while Cossack notices from a distance that his master does not look well.
The assassin asks if his master is all right and vows to finish the floor as fast as possible so Ji-hyuk can return to a warm room.
Ji-hyuk desperately tells his companion to slow down, but the assassin rushes off with a loud whoosh sounding. A high-pitched keek sounds as Cossack slaughters the weasels, panicking that Ji-hyuk's life is in danger because he might catch an incurable cold.
Ji-hyuk demands absolute obedience, while a system notice announces an S++ clear rank for the 12th floor and a platinum badge reward.
Gwang-il asks over the phone if Ji-hyuk really cleared the floor while the young man warns that the 13th floor might be difficult.
Back in the apartment, Cossack relaxes in the warmth while Ji-hyuk checks his phone.
The young man unsummons his companion, who fadingly mentions he was going to watch television.
Ji-hyuk scolds the disappearing spirit, declaring that those who do not obey get nothing.
The 13th floor mission begins, requiring the player to pass through a corridor filled with swinging axes and arrow traps.
Cossack grabs Ji-hyuk, insisting that they must hurry because the floor contains too many variables and the summoner could get hurt.
The assassin carries his master through the traps at high speed, resulting in another S++ clear rank for the 13th floor.
Cossack clears the 14th floor by dealing with area-wide bat attacks before they can hit his master, securing another S++ rank clear.
Ji-hyuk calculates that the 5 kilograms of magic stones earned from the recent floors are worth 2.5 million won.
The young man is excited to realize he has earned over 7 million won in just 2 weeks and wonders if he can reach the 20th floor without trouble.
A light tick sounds as Ji-hyuk dreams of a life with a 30 million won monthly income and quitting his part-time job.
A sharp smack sounds as Cossack bows deeply, feeling guilty for his insubordination despite providing his master with perfect scores.
Ji-hyuk tells his companion to clear comfortably from the 15th floor onward and that he will no longer order him to go slowly.
The young man notes that the agency already knows his skill level and aims to collect 15 platinum badges for the perks they provide.
Ji-hyuk admits he is getting greedy as he realizes stacking perks will make his future climbs much safer.
The master and servant prepare to enter the next floor with a salute and high spirits.
The 15th floor mission starts, requiring the defeat of 20 intelligent goblin workers in a dense forest.
Ji-hyuk hides behind a tree, noting that humanoid monsters are intelligent and troublesome to clear, even with information. He whispers a warning for Cossack to hide well so that no crafty goblins escape to alert the others.
The red-haired assassin responds with a confident, knowing smile as he prepares to move.
Cossack uses a stealth skill to turn translucent, leaving Ji-hyuk wondering if he can eventually learn the ability.
A blue blur flashes through the dark trees as the assassin begins his hunt.
Goblins are decapitated midair, prompting Ji-hyuk to marvel at the efficiency of the attack. The monsters fall without even realizing they have been killed by the hidden assassin.
System notices confirm a successful floor clear, a level increase, and an S++ record reward of a platinum badge.
Ji-hyuk and Cossack happily exit the tower in a pillar of blue light.
The pair teleports back into the kitchen as the blue energy fades away.
A quick pat sounds as Ji-hyuk opens his digital inventory screen. 15 platinum badges orbit the young man as he celebrates reaching his milestone.
A sudden ding sounds as a system notification grants a special perk for accumulating 15 platinum badges.
Ji-hyuk recalls receiving the trait enhancement perk at 5 badges and the skill copy perk at 10 badges.
The young man smiles broadly, filled with anticipation for his newest reward.
The scene transitions as Ji-hyuk focuses on his growing collection of powerful items. A golden bracelet is sent to the inventory as a reward for the new energy shield kit perk. A sharp chalk sounds as Ji-hyuk equips the golden ring, which provides a level scaling shield that absorbs damage.
Blue crystalline armor covers Ji-hyuk's body, and he notes that the lack of a tower-exclusive restriction is very significant.
A soft hum sounds as Ji-hyuk laughs, realizing the energy shield can be used in the real world as well. The young man wonders if he should sell the artifact for billions of won and retire or keep climbing.
Ji-hyuk asks if they can clear the 16th floor immediately with an S++ rank while Cossack eats a piece of chicken and expresses caution.
Inside the bureau, the commissioner asks how long it has been since the global announcements for the S++ record stopped.
Mina reports that 15 days have passed and it appears the legendary player is currently stalled on the 15th floor. A sharp, loud smack sounds as the bald commissioner slams the desk, lamenting that such immense talent was given to such a timid player.
A low, resonant hum sounds as Gwang-il suggests that while the higher floors are difficult, they should simply wait a bit longer for the player's next move.
A sudden, sharp gasp sounds as Gwang-il receives a call and reports that the young man is currently heading to the Awakener's Management Bureau to visit the shop.
The commissioner looks on with wide-eyed shock, wondering if the player's sudden visit means he is finally preparing for his next climb.
Guang explains that it seems likely the player was farming the 15th floor to raise funds for equipment since he was completely unequipped during their first meeting.
A heavy, resonant bang sounds as the commissioner slams his desk again, berating himself for wanting to criticize the player without knowing his true intentions. A soft rustling whoosh sounding marks a transition to 15 days ago as a hexagonal grid pattern shimmers over the forest trees. The red-haired assassin screams in absolute disbelief, his face purple with shock at a request he just heard.
Ji-hyuk lifts his shirt and calmly points to his stomach, requesting that his companion stab him with his dagger to test a new ability.
Cossack trembles with terror, begging his master to beat him to death or take his arm instead of forcing him to commit such an act.
The assassin covers his ears and screams that he can't hear anything, clearly finding his master's persistent request to be incredibly frustrating. A sudden, wet pook sounding echoes as Ji-hyuk takes matters into his own hands and stabs himself, leaving the assassin completely frozen in horror. Ji-hyuk realizes with a pained shout that he forgot to turn the shield on, while the panicked assassin offers to cut off his own arm in penance. Cossack tearfully embraces his master and vows that such a thing must never happen again before departing for the hunt. The assassin moves through the woods with a blurring trail of blue light, finishing his entire hunt in under 10 minutes.
A soft, leafy rustle sounding accompanies Ji-hyuk as he hides in the bushes, deciding to practice his own skills while he waits for his companion.
The young man whispers the name of the shadow step skill as his eyes begin to glow with a faint blue energy.
A vibrant, ethereal glow sounds as Ji-hyuk is enveloped in a bright blue light, his expression one of intense focus.
A sudden, sharp swish sounding follows Ji-hyuk as he dashes forward, leaving a faint blue afterimage behind him in the dark woods. Ji-hyuk looks down at his hands in awe, marveling at the incredible sensation of moving at such high speeds.
Multiple blue afterimages trail behind the young man as he realizes the ability allows him to move freely and would be perfect for escaping danger.
The young man suddenly stops in his tracks as a soft, curious hum sounds, his attention caught by something moving in the foliage.
A low, guttering growl sounds as a green-skinned goblin is spotted crouching in the grass some distance away.
Ji-hyuk feels a sudden chill, wondering if the monster was intentionally hiding there specifically to avoid being spotted by the assassin. A blood-curdling, high-pitched screech sounds as the goblin lunges forward with its mouth wide open, revealing rows of sharp teeth.
A resonant metallic clack sounds as Ji-hyuk raises his arm and successfully activates a blue hexagonal energy shield to block the monster's bite.
The young man recoils with a disgusted shout as the goblin is repelled by the force of the shield's impact.
A sharp whistling slice sounding cuts through the air as the red-haired assassin reappears and decapitates the monster in a single motion.
Cossack shouts praise for the nice pass, mistakenly believing his master had intentionally lured and baited the monster for him.
A sudden, frantic whish sounding accompanies the assassin as he dives toward the ground, shouting his master's name in a panic. The red-haired man skids to a halt with a heavy thud sounding, desperately checking on his master to see if he was harmed by the monster. Cossack sniffs around his master with a series of quick, curious sniffs sounding, noting with suspicion that the young man appears to be completely fine.
The assassin yells with a fiery intensity, warning his master once again that he must never try to be brave in such a dangerous place.
A soft, shimmering chime sounds as narrative text reveals Ji-hyuk earned over 11 million won by farming magic stones for 15 days. Back in his room, Jae-hyuk agrees to wait for an official escort after being told it is a standard perk for all contracted players.
A loud, piercing screech sounds as a long, silver luxury limousine pulls up in front of the Management Bureau building.
A solid, heavy thud sounding accompanies Ji-hyuk as he steps out of the vehicle and is greeted warmly by Gwang-il.
Ji-hyuk walks toward the grand entrance, noting to himself that the treatment he is receiving is clearly meant for VVIPs.
A soft digital beep sounds as Ji-hyuk places his hand on a glowing blue scanner to register his vein data.
Gwang-il explains that the player can now visit the shop anytime and offers to personally show him around the interior of the facility.
A low, mechanical hum sounds as the large doors slide open, revealing Ji-hyuk standing at the threshold of a vast hall.
A series of soft, magical sparkles sound as the young man looks around the incredibly luxurious and empty player-exclusive shop. A rhythmic, steady tap sounding follows Ji-hyuk as he walks past displays of legendary weapons, focusing on his primary goal of selling his stones. The store clerk confirms the massive market value of the magic stones, promising that the funds will be deposited into the player's account very soon. Ji-hyuk slumps his shoulders with an exhausted sigh, thinking to himself that the social aspect of shopping is far more draining than the tower.
Inside the office, the commissioner asks for an update on whether the talented player has successfully started his shopping trip.
Gwang-il confirms the progress, mentioning that he instructed the staff to apply a secret 90% discount so as not to burden the timid young man.
A quiet, peaceful breeze sounds as the scene transitions to a beautiful sunset glowing over the city skyline.
A triumphant, magical chime sounds as Ji-hyuk holds up a shining silver mace, delighted to have purchased it for only 2 million won.
The young man blushes with a soft, appreciative hum sounding, realizing that Gwang-il's personal attention and service were even better than he expected.
Ji-hyuk reflects on the special treatment he received at the shop, feeling a bit burdened by the VIP service while also admitting the staff were quite pretty.
The young man admires his new equipment, noting that the energy shield perk allows him to replace all other defensive gear with just a pair of walkers. A bead of sweat rolls down Jahyuk's cheek as he realizes the incredible power of his perks is making him feel unexpectedly greedy. A digital chime sounds as a blue window confirms the summoning of John Cossack, and the red-haired assassin salutes his master before learning they are heading to the 16th floor.
Jahyuk frantically shouts out various prayers and magic words as a vibrant, ethereal glow sounds, hoping for a lucky result from his random summon skill.
A massive, blinding flash of purple energy fills the room, leaving both Jahyuk and the assassin staring in wide-eyed shock at the towering silhouette forming before them.
Large glowing blue sandals appear.
A heavy, resonant bang sounds as the ceiling of the kitchen is completely demolished by the sheer force of the new summon's arrival.
Jahyuk screams in absolute terror, his face pale as he realizes the destruction of his ceiling likely means he will lose his entire security deposit. A massive purple-lit fist clenches.
A giant glowing foot lands. A sudden, sharp gasp sounds as Jahyuk looks up at the colossal, tattooed man sitting in his ruined kitchen, realizing the summon is far larger than he expected. The giant glares with glowing red eyes as Jahyuk wonders if the being he just brought into his home is actually a human or a monster.
A sudden, sharp swish sounding follows the red-haired assassin as he lunges through the air, screaming at the giant to sit down. A solid, heavy smack sounds as Cossack delivers a powerful flying kick directly to the massive man's forehead.
A series of rapid, rhythmic thuds sound as Cossack pummels the giant, demanding to know if he came there just to ruin his life, while Jahyuk wonders if they are already acquainted.
The tattooed giant looks on with a blank expression, calmly noting that the assassin's barrage of attacks didn't actually hurt and only felt like a light tickle.
A sharp metallic shring sounds as Cossack draws his daggers, his eyes glowing blue with a murderous intent as he vows to slit the giant's throat.
Jahyuk throws his hand out with a panicked shout of stop, desperately trying to prevent his two summons from killing each other in his living room.
A soft, rhythmic clap sounds as Jahyuk begs them to stop because the broken ceiling is already enough damage, while a tiny, smiling Cossack cheers in response.
Jahyuk asks the assassin to step aside so he can talk to their new guest, but Cossack warns that the man is a notorious moron who probably hasn't even memorized the 3 laws.
The giant begins to recite the laws with visible effort, struggling to remember that the first article is about absolute obedience and the second involves understanding value.
The assassin points an accusatory finger, calling the giant a total dud and suggesting they should just kill him so he remains unsummonable for 100 days.
Jahyuk sighs in disappointment after checking the system window, which identifies the summon as a rare-grade, dim-witted meat shield from the Great Plains tribe.
A series of soft, frustrated grunts sound as Jahyuk attempts to interview the giant, only to find the man doesn't even remember his own name or why he is in the tower.
A sudden, sharp zap sounding startles Jahyuk as he touches a glowing blue memory window, and he feels a strange pull as he decides to investigate the giant's history.
The young man is pulled into a swirling vortex of blue and purple energy, realizing he is being sucked into the giant's forgotten memories just as he was with the assassin.
A soft, leafy rustle sounding accompanies Jahyuk as he arrives in a lush green meadow, wondering about the beautiful location he has been transported to.
A melodic, rhythmic thudding sounds as the giant walks through the beautiful landscape, and narrative text reveals he was once a pure soul who lived in harmony with nature.
A low, predatory growl sounds as several giant wolves from the Great Plains appear, causing the giant to look up from his peaceful observation of a butterfly.
A series of wet, heavy cracks sound as the giant playfully wrestles the wolves to death, unaware of his own terrifying strength due to his simple-minded nature.
Arius greets the giant with a smile.
Arius asks for a name, and narrative text reveals the giant was so dim-witted that he had already forgotten his own identity during the encounter.
A low, resonant hum sounds as the scene reveals the giant was deceived by Arius and used as a meat shield in a desperate battle against a multi-headed hydra.
A sudden, sharp slice sounding echoes as the giant tears the heads off the monster, driven only by his desire to protect the comrades who were actually betraying him. A series of soft, mocking snickers sound as the soldiers hide in the shadows, laughing at how easily they won the battle by tricking the stupid giant. A sudden, wet sizzle sounding accompanies the sight of the giant's remains in a pool of acid, and Jahyuk watches in horror as the man is reduced to a skeleton.
Jahyuk's voice trembles as he realizes the tragic fate of his new summon, thinking to himself that the way the giant was treated is truly horrific.
Back in the real world, Jahyuk extends his hand and warmly welcomes the giant, offering a sincere invitation to climb the tower together as real partners. The young man shakes the giant's massive finger and offers him a choice of new names, suggesting either Yaman or Gobang to replace his lost identity.
The giant makes his choice.
A sudden firm thud sounding accompanies Jahyuk as he strikes a pose, asking Gobang for his trust, and the giant responds with a simple vow of loyalty.
A sudden sharp ding sounding marks Jo-hyuk's epiphany as he declares the three of them are now comrades, much to the absolute horror of the red-haired assassin. A celebratory magical chime sounds as Jo-hyuk and Cossack both cheer, with the assassin promising to whip the giant into shape before they head to the 16th floor.
A quick, solid pock sounding echoes as Cossack kicks Gobang's leg for copying his answer, and the narrative notes the arrival of this very strange and unlikely trio of players.
A vibrant, ethereal hum sounds as the group teleports to the tower, and system windows confirm that their stats and skills have been adjusted for the new floor. A rhythmic, steady thudding sounds as they trek through the dark woods, and the assassin tells his master to prepare his energy shield and shadow step for the upcoming mission.
The group moves through the forest as the assassin warns that the enemies in this area use poison needles and are likely preparing a sudden ambush from the shadows.
A soft, leafy rustle sounding accompanies a blowgun emerging from the dark foliage as an unseen monster aims a projectile directly at the young man's back. A soft, airy puff sounding marks the moment a green-skinned goblin launches a glowing needle toward Jo-hyuk from its hiding spot. A soft, airy puff sounding marks the moment a green-skinned monster fires a blowgun from the shadows.
A sudden sharp clack sounding follows the red-haired assassin as he catches the poison needle just inches from Jo-hyuk's face, leaving the young man wide-eyed with shock. A massive, chaotic roar sounds as dozens of green-skinned goblins reveal themselves, surrounding the trio as Jo-hyuk realizes they have walked straight into an ambush.
A series of sharp, rhythmic pings sound as Cossack deflects incoming projectiles, shouting at his master to dodge while promising to block the initial wave of the attack.
A low, rhythmic crackling sounds as the enemies close in, and Jo-hyuk notes with visible sweat that there are far more than the expected 50 monsters lying in wait.
Jo-hyuk points forward with a frantic shout, commanding the giant Gobang to step out in front and act as their primary defense against the overwhelming force.
A low, resonant hum sounds as the giant's eyes glow with a fierce orange light, his expression hardening into one of absolute focus as he prepares to engage.
A heavy, resonant thud sounds as Gobang's massive foot slams into the earth, the ground cracking under the sheer weight and power of his movement.
A sudden, powerful whoosh sounding accompanies the giant as he launches himself high into the air, leaving the goblin archers staring up in total confusion.
A series of wet, heavy slices sound as the red-haired assassin carves through the front line, his eyes widening as he senses a massive presence looming over the battlefield.
A sudden, sharp gasp sounds as Cossack looks up, realizing the giant's shadow has completely eclipsed him just moments before impact. A massive, earth-shaking boom sounds as Gobang lands in the center of the goblin army, the force of his impact generating a pillar of fire that obliterates everything in its path.
A sudden sharp whoosh sounding follows the red-haired assassin as he is blown backward by the shockwave, cursing the giant for nearly killing him in the process.
Jo-hyuk peers over the edge of a rock with wide eyes, thinking to himself that with a weight class like that, the encounter isn't even a fair fight anymore.
A series of soft, metallic pings sound as the goblins frantically fire blowguns at the giant, their needles bouncing harmlessly off his thick, muscular skin.
A series of soft, frustrated grunts sound from the monsters as Gobang stands his ground, calmly noting that their needles don't work and only feel like a light tickle.
A triumphant, resonant shout follows Jo-hyuk's command to kill them all, and Gobang unleashes a devastating whirlwind of power that scatters the goblin battalion like leaves.
Jo-hyuk watches in disbelief, wondering if the giant was only ranked as a rare summon because of his low intelligence, given that his combat power is easily at the level of a legendary warrior.
A series of soft, greasy crinkles sound as the scene transitions to a pile of boxes from a shop called Pride Chicken, with Gobang's massive hand reaching for a piece of food.
A series of wet, heavy chews sound as Gobang happily stuffs his face, calling the kitchen tasty while Jo-hyuk encourages him to eat as much as he wants as a reward.
A sudden, sharp smack sounds as Cossack pummels the giant for his bad manners and complains about the spicy chicken, while Gobang mocks him for being a spice wimp, and Jo-hyuk wonders if his summons will ever get along. A sudden, sharp ding sounding marks the moment of Jo-hyuk's surprise as Gobang causes his eating to sincerely call his master a good person.
A series of soft, emotional sparkles sound as Gobang vows to give his life for the summoner who feeds him, but the moment is ruined when Cossack delivers a flying kick to correct his pronunciation of the word chicken. A series of soft, frustrated sighs sound as Jo-hyuk scolds the assassin for bullying the giant, while Cossack grumbles an apology and complains that Gobang is eating everything while they are distracted.
A rhythmic, steady pulse sounding accompanies a blue system window announcing the dawn of the next day and the group's arrival on the 17th floor of the tower.
A triumphant, magical hum sounds as Jo-hyuk flexes his glowing arms, feeling an uncontrollable surge of power now that he has reached level 17.
Jo-hyuk feels like a wild stallion is waking up within him, but the red-haired assassin warns that level 20 is when players get cocky before taking point, while Gobang promises to keep his summoners safe.
A sharp digital chime sounds as a blue window appears, tasking the trio with the mission to defeat 30 goblin warriors on the new floor.
A low, rhythmic clanking sounds as a disciplined army of armored goblins appears in the distance, and Ju-yuk realizes that seeing them in person is far more intense than any walkthrough video.
Ji-yuk observes the enemy with a bead of sweat on his cheek, noting that the battalion is at least 90 strong and surprisingly skilled in military strategy.
A low rhythmic hum sounds as a strategic map appears, showing the standard method of luring the enemies out in small groups, though Jahoyuk finds the process far too slow.
A sudden, firm thud sounding accompanies Ju-yuk as he turns to the giant warrior, calling out to Gobang to prepare for a much faster approach.
A celebratory magical chime sounds as a tiny Ju-yuk points forward and cheerfully orders his team to move out.
A massive guttural roar sounds as Gobang unleashes his full power, and Jahyuk thinks to himself that with the giant on his team, climbing past the 20th floor will be a total breeze.
A sudden, sharp ding sounding marks the moment Ju-yuk points his finger with a determined grin, ordering his team to wipe out the monsters while wondering what new perk he will earn next.